there's been a lot of work, a lot of thought, isn't there? A lot of planning. What happens at the AGM if it all falls apart?
That's a very good question, because if it does, then I think we've all got to ask, what do we do now? Because the problem is still there as to how we manage to have our development, fulfil our legal responsibilities and support those u3as where issues arise.
So are you putting this under the like Fit for the Future umbrella?
It's not about changing u3as, and anybody who thinks it is, it isn't. It isn't about telling u3as what to do. It's about trying to have a structure at the centre that actually is fit for purpose. And what we've got at the moment is not fit for purpose in terms of the board, its responsibilities, and the other things that are expected of trustees.
So we'll have a smaller board.
Yes.
And we'll have the council. Might have a different name, who's to know? And they will be meeting, and presumably there'll be somebody on the board that goes to the council and somebody on the council that goes to the board, so that some like transparency and sharing of ideas and stuff.
Yes, and the thinking on that is that it would be the vice chair of the board and the chair of the council that would be those two people that have those ex officio non-voting roles on the other two bodies, and would be reporting to the other two, to each.
Yeah, and those reports, will they then be available to individual u3as? You know, will it be like minutes posted on the website?
I wouldn't like to say it will be anything, but it might be minutes. It might be something such as the documents that have been going out at the moment, which have been summaries of the discussion.
Yeah.
In many ways, they amount to the same thing. But I think, again, this is where I would say, if we decide too much in advance, then we tie ourselves in a knot. Whereas if we leave it open to doing something, if it works, great. If it doesn't, we look at it again and say, how do we do that better?
I'm a bit concerned that this is going to cost more. More people, more meetings, more travelling. You want the people on the council to come from the 4 nations, don't you? Yes. You don't want them like just in London on the home counties. No. So there's going to be travelling, hotel expenses. How's all this going to fit in?
Right. I think it's very difficult to say what it's going to involve. But the way I can say what I visualise, but I can't speak for anybody else.
Yeah.
But a lot of what is done at board meetings, particularly if it's going to be focusing in the way I have said, on the more business aspects of running a large charity, there's a lot of that could actually be done perfectly adequately using video conferencing. It doesn't necessarily need people to sit down in a room, because they're going to be looking at papers, they're going to be discussing them, there will be in-between conversations. So it may well be that it's far fewer board meetings. It might be one a year, just so that people know what each other looks like in the flesh.
You mean one face-to-face and then the others online?
But the others online. But as I say, I'm talking about my thoughts.
Yes.
I'm not speaking for anybody else. In terms of the council, again, there's going to be the need to think how much can be done without people actually being physically in the same room. And one of the things that video conferencing lends itself to is breakout rooms, and not everybody being part of every discussion at a meeting, but to plan a day so that you've got breakout rooms discussing different topics, bringing their thoughts back, and then wrapping it all into a plenary at the end. Now that can be done. The more you can experiment with different things, recognising that meetings are expensive, and that if we don't actually have to be in the same place, but just want to be because we prefer it, then that's not a good enough reason to say you've got to be in the same place.
Yeah. We're thinking that this is an exciting development. Would you use the word exciting? Challenging?
I would say it's both exciting and challenging. It's an opportunity, and it's an opportunity to shape the u3a for the future, rather than us slowly disintegrating, which is my worst fear if we don't do something to sort out the issue.